up, you guys? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We are getting into some news. There may be a rematch, a Jake Paul rematch that I don't think anybody is really that excited about. Tyler Herro is being accused of acting like a celebrity, and we're also talking about Steph Curry and whether or not he deserves to be a part of the MVP conversation. But before we dive in, you guys know what to do. Subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and share it with your friends. Here's the Fumble Squad. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jackie Ray. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter @JRayTheFanatic. I was just thinking I need to get more involved on Twitter based on this story. Our producer just told me I had a brain. I was like, I got to really get on Twitter more. But, Devin, do you know what day it is?
It's Taco Tuesday! Yes, and we have said stuff in the chat spamming us with Taco Tuesday. Said stuff, I told you to stop spamming. We're excited about Taco Tuesday too, but you don't need to keep repeating it over and over again, so please stop. And if you continue, we'll have to put you in a timeout, my friend. I'm really sorry to say that, but we don't like spamming. But Jackie, do you also know what day it is today?
Day after the Lakers lost? I don't know what else. Oh, it's 420. Yes.
So, Jackie, I have to ask, and maybe you don't want to share, maybe you do. Do you celebrate 420?
I most definitely do. My brother, a slight story time. This would be a really quick one, though. My brother owned one of the first Black-owned medicinal marijuana stores in Colorado, and now he owns one of the biggest shops in Colorado. So I'm surprised I didn't get a call from him. He does actually, funny thing though, he's never smoked a day in his life. So I don't even know if he knows what he's making is good, but he's got great clientele. Some of the retired Broncos have worked with him because, you know, with the CTE and the pain and stuff that they've gone through, he's actually helped a lot of people get over some of that pain. He's definitely more on the medicinal side. But yeah, so I will definitely be partaking in the event. And I am not ashamed of that. I know some people are, but God put this on the earth for us, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, okay, good. I like that attitude. There's no shame in it. I don't think anybody should be ashamed of it. It is it can be very, very helpful for people with anxiety, with pain, with chronic illnesses. So I fully support it. It's not my thing, but I don't care if anybody else does it. And if people want to celebrate on 420, I think they absolutely should. But Jackie, I kind of want to ask a little bit more about your brother. How did he even get involved in the cannabis industry if he doesn't smoke weed? Like, how does that even happen?
So all of his friends have smoked. My brother, the only thing he does is drink, and that's where I got my whiskey thing from. My brother likes whiskey, but that's it. Like, he'll drink on the weekends, but other than that, he's pretty like straight and narrow, straight laced kind of guy. But all of his friends, you know, smoked weed, and we have this one friend in particular who used to go to jail like all the time for like dime sacks and stuff. And then so when it started becoming like, and this was before it was like legal. You could only do medicinal. So my brother was like, this is stupid that he keeps going to jail for stuff that they're going to eventually make legal. Let me get in on this now, you know, before it gets to the forefront. And when I tell you, it was insane what he had to go through. The feds raided his shop like every other weekend just to make sure it was medicinal, because there was all these things that you had to do. Funny story. I don't know if it's funny, haha. But there was like 5 people who started it right around the same time. My brother was the only one who was Black, and he was the only one who ever got raided. Imagine that. But
of course.
Yeah. Right. So then, you know, when the Obama administration came around, that stopped, and then that kind of gave him less anxiety, I guess. At that time, even though he owned the business and he knew it'd be lucrative, he wasn't a big fan of it because of all the legal dramas that happened with it. And to be honest, he was looking to sell it. And then when the Obama administration came through and they was like, okay, all these Fed raids on legal medicinal places need to stop, then he branched out, and then he actually opened a dispensary, and quite lucrative, let me say. So, yes. No, my brother, we were both born in Denver. Dennis, I see you in the chat. Dennis says, Jackie, was your bro born in Colorado Springs? But that's how we got to Denver, is because my dad was in the Air Force, and the Air Force base is in Colorado Springs. So we do have a Colorado Springs affiliation. But story time, yep.
Jackie, I love that. First of all, love a black-owned business. Love that he had such an entrepreneurial spirit and he really kind of like pushed through that. And you know what? Like we said before, weed for a lot of people can just be really relaxing. It can help them with anxiety and pain and whatever. Like Athena in the chat says she has chronic pain. And I know so many people who have found relief by using medicinal marijuana, but also people just like to do it for fun. I personally use a lot of CBD oils and CBD like supplements to help me. I tend to really get worked up in my brain. I get stressed out and I overthink things, and sometimes you just need to kind of relax a little bit. So I do love CBD, and if I ever have sore muscles, I use that on my like as like a lotion or an oil. So I don't know. I think it's a great thing. So happy 420 to everybody. Maybe some of you will celebrate 420 and then celebrate Taco Tuesday tonight with some munchies. It's honestly a perfect day. Okay, let's jump right into the news here. I want to first let you guys know about Nate Robinson because there may be a rematch in the works. So Stephen A. Smith said that Stephen A. Smith said that after that fight with Jake Paul where he was completely knocked out, it was just a mess. He realized he wasn't trained well, and he apologized for not listening. He collected a little over $2 million for that fight. So, it was a decent payout for him. But they are trying to get him to fight a rematch and he wants to be trained, or I guess Floyd Mayweather wants to train him. So I don't know if any of us are really like, I don't know, Jackie, is this something that you would be interested in seeing, or should he just accept the L and move on?
Nate Robinson is a basketball player. So, this is, do I think, I don't want to say that I don't think he could succeed, because obviously Jake Paul, despite his success in this arena, is not a boxer. He is a guy that's annoying on YouTube. That's who he is. That's what he does. That's not, that's his claim to fame. So I don't want to say that Nate Robinson can't succeed, but it'll be awful, because how long is your training going to be? Because what you can't do is, now that Nate Robinson has all these wins under his belt, and he clearly, I saw someone in the chat yesterday said his boxing stance it's not good. It's not. But if you watch him from the first time he fought to the last time he fought, it's slightly better. I can tell that he's just training on how he hits more than the fundamentals of boxing. If he ever, and I hate to say that, if he ever really gets the fundamentals of boxing down, we might have to have a different conversation about him. But those of us who actually watch boxing right now, we can see enough flaws in his game. Flaws or not, though, the man is out here winning. So then for Nate, it becomes, how long are you going to train? Because you can't just train for a couple of months. You got to train, because Nate Paul been out here training. Or Jake Paul being out here training. So how long are you going to train for? I mean, when is this fight going to be? Now, if Floyd Money Mayweather wants to train you, then okay, maybe you can condense that time, because he's going to give you strategies, because he's watched Jake fight, and he knows in his head right now how to beat Jake Paul. And some of that doesn't even have to do with how hard you hit that man. Floyd Money right now could beat Jake Paul. He could easily, but there's no use for him to do that, because this is just a kid basically to him. He has no need to try to prove himself in this way. But training Nate and getting Nate in the ring to win a second time might be his claim to fame in that situation. You know what I mean? Because now you've been the one to train a guy who lost in horrible fashion. We still talk about that knockout and how horribly embarrassing it was. So if Floyd Money can train him, I would watch that one. I mean, and I'm still not going to pay for it. I'm never going to pay out of my pocket for anything that has Jake Paul's name attached to it. So if y'all having a party and I can go to for free, or if I can get that bootleg stream again, I will watch it. But it might be a much better fight. It might be actually go some rounds, because we've seen now, this is 2 big fights that Jake Paul is done, like, quick. So maybe at least, if at the bare minimum, if it goes the distance, it's a better situation. But I don't know. Me personally, you're not going to get a second time to embarrass me. So I wouldn't do it, but I understand, you want to save face and you want to be, because we were all rooting for Nate. And it wasn't because of Nate particularly. It was because we hate Jake Paul. And we just want somebody to go in there and give him what he deserves. So if you think Floyd Money, but you got to train with Floyd Money Mayweather. If you do not train with Floyd Money Mayweather, stay at home. Period. Do not get back in there because you're just going to embarrass yourself and all of us again. So.
Yeah, I think that having Floyd Mayweather training him would definitely be a leg up, but there's still the risk that he's going to get out there and not be able to handle Jake Paul, which is really embarrassing to admit, because you can have the best trainers in the world, but if you don't have the skill, you're not going to be able to beat somebody. So I know that this could be a good moment of redemption for him, but it also could be another major moment of embarrassment. So I don't know if I want to see it again. Jeremiah Smith wants to see Nate Robinson redeem himself and get back in the ring with Jake Paul, but I don't know. For me, I'm just kind of like, I think you should accept the L and move on. I think it's time to leave the boxing in the past. Unless, of course, you could guarantee.
We don't know how hard Nate hits. And that's the only thing we know for sure about Jake Paul. I'll agree with you guys who say he doesn't have the boxing fundamentals, but we know he hit really hard. So that's a part of boxing as well. You hear the term strong chin, and what that means is you got to be able to take a punch and keep on punching. And clearly Nate Robinson doesn't have a strong chin because my man was out. He was sleep. So that's not something I don't know. I don't know if you can train somebody how to. The only way you get a strong chin is if you get hit in it a lot. And so how do you? I don't know. This is one of those things that I would watch if Floyd Money was involved in the training. I'm still not going to pay for it, but I'm with you, Devin. I just don't know. I don't know. I kind of want this to die out. I would probably open a new business so people can talk about that business versus how I got knocked out by Jake Paul. I'm trying to divert all conversations away from the time I got knocked out by Jake Paul. But I don't know if I would do this again. I don't know.
Here's a better idea. Floyd Mayweather versus Jake Paul. Now, that is something I would pay to see, I think.
I just wouldn't want Floyd to do that because to me, now, an up-and-coming boxer who needs the cash, who wants to pay out, cool. His name is Floyd Money. The man does not need the money from fighting Jake Paul. And Jake, to me, he's a cancer on the sport because he doesn't take it seriously enough. So a guy like Floyd Money fighting him diminishes the authenticity and the amount of work and training that goes into doing something like this. So for that reason, I would never want Floyd Money to fight Jake Paul. Somebody whose name is not Floyd Money, fine, but not Floyd Money.
Well, I guess we'll see what happens if that rematch even comes to fruition. But for now, let's talk about Tyler Herro because he is being accused of acting like a celebrity, and the team is actually growing more and more worried about his poor play. So on the Inside the Paint podcast, which is hosted by two Miami Heat beat writers, Ira Winderman revealed that Tyler is focused more on looking like a celebrity than playing a good game. Leo, can we throw that clip up there for us?
Tyler Herro chose to become a celebrity. He chose to become something outside the game.
We saw it coming, though, from the very beginning.
His rights with
and we
his
asked him about
breakfast cereal
right.
and his Tyler Tuesdays and his Chipotle Bowl, and that's all well and good. But you know what? Other players, when they see a player doing that before they've truly reached it, I don't know if I want to say there's a jealousy, but I think the pros, guys, we spoke about in the first segment here, we talked about Bam growing as a pro. When we talk about this, they sort of take an askance view of the guy and say, wait a minute, buddy, you haven't done anything yet.
Well, look, but ultimately, the team starts to get a certain level of concern.
Right.
In this particular case, the team has been concerned now for months.
So I think it's funny, first of all, that they bring up these brand deals because brand deals come with the territory of being an NBA player with a known name. So I don't think that we can say necessarily that him building this Chipotle bowl or the cereal or whatever is actually taking his focus away from basketball. What I think it actually could be is that he is dating Katya Elise Henry. She's this Instagram model and this influencer, and it's possible that he's just caught up in that kind of life and focusing more on like the money and the relationship and like the cool, going out into the cool hot spots and all of that, instead of really putting his attention into basketball. And I think as a 21-year-old, it might be hard to stay focused on your career when you are given this huge paycheck and you have this like baddie IG model girlfriend, and maybe his attention is being pulled in a bunch of different directions, but it also could very well just be a sort of like a sophomore slump. We've seen this happen before where there's a breakout rookie year and then they kind of don't quite measure up as much in the second year, and that doesn't mean that the writing is on the wall and Tyler Herro is a complete bust. It just means that he's maybe going through a little bit of a challenging time. So I don't think it's really that fair to put all of the Heat's, like any of the Heat struggles on Tyler Herro's shoulders here. But one thing that I did want to point out, there were some tweets in response to this podcast. Leo, can we put that first one up there? Because people online found this to be funny. The first tweet says, Miami Heat have been concerned now for months about Tyler Herro's celebrity status. And this person goes, hey, what? And then there's another one that says, he is prioritizing guacamole over guarding his man in regards to that Chipotle bowl, which, by the way, guys, Chipotle guacamole is so good. Like, now that I've been thinking about Chipotle all morning, I'm craving it, and I haven't had it in such a long time. But anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of different opinions about this, but Jackie, do you think that Tyler Herro is letting fame get to him, and is that why he is, over the last 4 games, he averaged 7 points per game. So it's less than what we're used to seeing from him. Is it because he's letting the fame get to his head?
So let me be clear. I didn't know he had a breakfast cereal or a Chipotle deal. I had no idea. So his celebrity status ain't that big because I didn't know. The only celebrity thing I didn't know about this Instagram model he's dating, but y'all know I never know about that kind of thing because I honestly don't care. But last thing I remember that had Tyler Herro plastered all over the place was that funny looking lip thing he did. So yeah, that's it. So he ain't that much of a celebrity when I don't know nothing about the things you were just talking about. So I don't know if that celebrity status. I do think the decline in his performance is cause for concern, and I get what you're saying. It's the sophomore slump. But the truth is he started out, and it started out very much like what we saw last season, especially in the bubble. And then it slowly, dwindled down. We got 10 points here, 5 points there, 9 points there. You know what I mean? It's this inconsistency. And that's the same thing. That's a problem I still have with Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma literally give you 30 one night and 9 the next night. So it's a level of inconsistency that I think is the real problem in this situation. But his celebrity status, at his age, I could see if he had true celebrity status. If I looked up and Tyler Herro was at the forefront of my mind because I was literally seeing him everywhere. But a Chipotle commercial and a cereal does not celebrity status make. When you talk about, you need to get that Nike endorsement. Now you're LeBron, and every time I go to a YouTube page or I watch stuff on Hulu, all I see is LeBron and these Nike commercials. Or when Colin Kaepernick got his Nike commercial, that commercial was freaking everywhere. You could not escape it. I need to see your face more readily on things that more people are aware of. Not everybody eats Chipotle, and whatever breakfast cereal he eats, I don't eat cereal anymore, but whatever cereal he has, do we even know what cereal it is? It's not Frosted Flakes. That's the only cereal that I actually crave every now and then, and he does not have a Frosted Flakes endorsement. So I don't even know what he's doing. So I don't think you blame it on that. And at the end of the day, we've seen, Zion came in one of the biggest names in basketball before he ever even set foot on the court. He had all kinds of endorsement deals from day one. We've seen his level of play improve. So he's got like the opposite effect going on. So I don't know if you ever, because you got to, and especially when you're on a team with Jimmy Butler, who can definitely be that guy to get in your face and say what you need to hear to keep you grounded. I don't think that we really should say it's his celebrity status. I don't even know if I'm going to give him the sophomore blues kind of thing, because the NBA moves too fast. You know what I mean? It's not like the NFL, which moves kind of slower. If you don't know your position and if you get into a rut or you take a big hit, it can throw you off your game for a while. It moves kind of fast. You need to make adjustments, and you need to make adjustments quick. And then you have a solid team around you that can help you get over that slump, and you started out good. So maybe there is something that needs to be addressed. I'm not saying that there's not anything that needs to be addressed, but celebrity status, I don't know. I can't say that's it. There's something, but I can't say it's celebrity status.
Yeah, I think it's less about the Chipotle Bowl and the brand deals, and more just about the fact that he has this flourishing personal life that it's probably hard to break away from. It's probably difficult for him to look at his, IG model girlfriend and say, like, actually, we're not going to go out to eat tonight, or we're not going to take that trip, or whatever it is. Instead, I need to focus. I'm going to practice. I'm going to hit the gym, whatever it is. So I think that that's maybe more what it is. His attention is being pulled in a couple different directions. And I think that in the bubble, we did see a lot of players perform better than they had all season because basketball was all they were thinking about. That was it. They were surrounded by nothing but basketball. So it was this kind of high pressure, highly focused environment. And maybe that's how he does best. Maybe that's where he is most successful, when he doesn't even have the option of thinking about anything else. So I don't know. It's an interesting take. Again, that celebrity status thing, like, yes, we all know Tyler Herro's name. We know who he is, but I'm not sure that it's like necessarily that he is becoming too famous for his own good. I don't really know.
I never saw Tyler Herro like that. I understand that Tyler Herro had a great time in the bubble, like you said, but I never saw him as being this breakout must-have star. I never saw that coming for him because he just does not have a lot of that. Even the fundamentals, basically. I mean, I'm not saying he's not good, but I never saw him being this hero, pun intended, that everybody said him to be. So I'm not surprised. And I saw somebody in the chat say, give him a break, it's his second year. No, you are in the pros, okay? And I don't give a damn how old you are. I don't care if you're 19, 18, 21. When you come into the pros, you should behave like a pro, which means your level of play should get better every single year because you learn more every single year. Again, this is different from the NFL when you might have taken a dozen hits in your rookie year. So now you're playing under some duress. This isn't the same thing. This is basketball. So no, I'm not giving him a break. I don't give anyone a break in the NBA. When you come into the NBA and you're surrounded by vets and a coaching staff, and you should already have the fundamentals from your college days, you should continue to improve. So yes, I agree that there's probably a level of concern, but I don't think it has anything to do with his celebrity status. Because the truth is, when you get these endorsement deals, what these endorsement deals should say to most players is, hey, you're doing great. You're doing so great that we recognize your name now. We recognize your face, and we want to reward you for that. So those endorsement deals should be kind of an incentive to do better. So I definitely don't want to say that this celebrity's life, and I don't know the chick he's dating, so I don't have any comments on that. But even with the girl you're dating, if she is pulling you away from basketball, then you need to be the one that says, okay, this isn't going to work because this is what gets me paid. Period.
I mean, yeah, exactly, Jackie. He has all of these things, the brand deals, the girl, the money, because of basketball. And if he lets basketball slip away, everything else is going to follow right behind. So if he wants to keep the girl and he wants to keep the Chipotle Bowl, he better focus. He better kind of tighten up his act. Okay, let's move on. Steph Curry is really putting on an impressive performance in recent games, and he has now been thrust back into the center of MVP conversations, especially after he dropped 49 points on the Sixers. Leo, can we put up that clip of fans chanting MVP at Steph Curry during the Sixers game?
And you're hearing MVP chants from the Golden State fans in attendance here in Philadelphia. You don't hear MVP chants on the road very often.
That was on the road, so people were loving it. So he's been really just doing super, super well this month, absolutely on fire, and people are wondering if he really does deserve to be MVP. It's something that Magic Johnson definitely agrees with. He tweeted, Steph Curry left no doubt about who the real MVP is tonight. He scored 49 points and led his Warriors to a victory over the Sixers. So let's talk about the reasons people do think that Steph deserves to be in these conversations, even though the Warriors are a losing team. So he has now outdone his MVP self by averaging 31.4 points per game compared to just 30.1 points per game back in 2015-2016. His shooting numbers are down a little bit, but he's been able to match his 3-point shooting average. and his 2-point shooting is also way better. He's also been, I think we can all agree, the most valuable player on the Warriors this season. If you look at other big names that have been stealing the spotlight this season, Steph's name should be up there just in terms of how much he's been able to do for his team, and especially, his team's success. And for the first time, he has no he's working with a depleted roster. He's working without the support that he's typically used to. So it's showing that his impact for the team is, pretty big. He's making a huge impact on his team, especially lately. And also he is kind of this underdog at the moment. And because he's on this losing team and we're not seeing him flying high as we usually do. So I think people do like that kind of narrative where it's like, oh yeah, let's go Steph, and they're rooting for him. So that is why people think that he deserves to be in these MVP conversations. Jackie, do you think that despite the team being so low, he does deserve to win it for averaging so many points, for putting up these incredible numbers in these recent games?
So that's an interesting conversation, because typically what we found is, because if this is true, then Bradley Beal should have been considered for MVP conversations concerning what he's done in Washington. But we've never considered him for MVP conversations because he's on a losing team. So it'd be an interesting narrative if all of a sudden we're considering Steph for MVP, because even though they're in the 9th place in the West right now, we could probably argue legitimately that they'd probably be in dead last if it wasn't for him specifically. So it'll be an interesting, I don't have an opinion on it, a hard opinion on it, because I do like Steph. He's hard not to like. He's a very likable individual. He is fun to watch. I think it's hilarious that we went from Philly chanting KD sucks to now they're chanting MVP for Steph. KD's somewhere in his feelings right now, I can assure you of that. So it's an interesting dynamic. Do I think that the Warriors would be in 9th place without him? Absolutely not. Like I said, I think they'd be in dead last. But so what? They're in 9th place. So when James Harden is going out here and he's doing all of these things and he's amazing, then people say, oh, he's just padding his own stats, because it doesn't mean anything that, when he was with the Rockets, he's not going anywhere. That was the narrative you heard about him all the time. He's just padding his stats. He doesn't deserve to be MVP because the Houston Rockets aren't going anywhere. Okay, here we are. I get Steph is more likable, but the reality of it is, even if they somehow survive a play-in, which I don't think they would, they're not going anywhere. They're not going. I mean, unless it's a fluke in the Matrix or something like that, but they're not going anywhere. So if James Harden was padding his stats and when he was out here doing this exact same thing, it didn't mean anything because it didn't mean anything for the team, why is that narrative different now? We got to stay consistent, people. That's all I'm saying. If it didn't matter for James Harden, if it doesn't matter for Bradley Beal, then how does it matter for Steph? Yes, it's beautiful to watch. It's fun to watch, especially when you look at, his last couple games, not even last couple, several of his last games, all of April, he's out there he's playing amazing basketball. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but the narrative has to be the same. If James Harden was padding his stats, if it didn't mean anything for Bradley Beal because he was on a losing team, it has to be the same for Steph Curry. So no MVP for me. But again, I don't have a dog race because it doesn't, to me, you know how I feel about James Harden. So keep the narrative consistent for me. That's all I'm saying. If it didn't matter then, it can't matter now. It just can't.
Well, that's a great point, because it just goes to show how MVP it doesn't rely solely on numbers and success. It's about who the person is. With Bradley Beal, I think people just don't care quite as much about the Wizards. And Bradley is also choosing to be there time and time and time again. He could go somewhere else and have a better shot at winning a ring, but he's choosing to stay there. And I think that even though we admire that loyalty, for a lot of people, it's like you're digging your own grave. So that's why they don't want to pay attention to him for MVP conversations. James Harden is just personality-wise less likable than Steph. It's easy to look at Steph and say that he is this MVP candidate with these great games, this great month that he's had, because he's also such a likable guy. So we have always talked about MVP being at this popularity contest and how it is frustrating to see that happen. But I feel like you just brought up so many great points because, yeah, if we aren't willing to give it to James Harden or Bradley Beal, then we shouldn't be willing to give it to Steph Curry. A lot of people in the chat, let's see what they're saying.
So to stay mad. Stay mad is mad. Stay mad is in there mad. Go to Warriors fan first because he deserves it first. Go to Warriors fan first.
Well, when I asked if Steph deserves MVP, Warriors fan did say yes. Dennis Davis thinks that Steph will win scoring title and MVP. Mighty Warrior Machiavelli says he doesn't deserve it, but he deserves recognition for doing a good job of carrying a team this season, but it doesn't deserve the MVP of the league. What is Stay Mad saying? Because I can't even look at this.
Stay Mad is mad. He says, never give Jackie a MVP vote. I'm not on a NBA squad, sir, so I don't need NBA MVP vote. I love what Kevin Pryor said. He said that, a 1 month does not an MVP make. And that's true, because April is literally the month that Steph came out of nowhere. And again, I'm sticking with my narrative. If it wasn't good enough for James Harden, it's not even good enough to consider Bradley Beal. I can't give it to Steph Curry. Kevin also mentioned something curious. I definitely don't agree with it, but Julius Randle. When you really consider the term MVP, it stands for most valuable player. You could literally argue the reason why we're not talking trash about the Knicks this season, the reason why the Knicks are suddenly relevant, the reason why I even said if you can beat the Knicks, about the Lakers, if you can beat the Knicks without your star players, now I can give you a little bit more credit, which they didn't do. But it's because of Julius Randle. So when you really talk about turning the page, we've had years of having a great time making fun of the Knicks. One of the reasons why we cannot do that right now is because of Julius Randle. So when you consider the term most valuable player, his value on that team isn't even just about the wins. He has literally changed the narrative for that franchise. That is insane to me. So when you really consider, based on that and that storyline in New York, I would definitely have to give it to Julius Randle before I even considered giving it to Steph. Because, again, what does this mean? The Warriors are still the Warriors. We are making so many excuses why the Warriors aren't succeeding right now. We're not trashing them. We're not talking about them the way we've historically trashed the Knicks. We're not doing that. The only reason why we're not doing that now is because of Julius Randle. Do I think Julius Randle should get the MVP? No. But I'm saying when you have these types of conversations and when you look at what he has done for that organization, he has to be in the conversation as well. So I agree with that. But him before Steph, for sure.
Well, let's also just be realistic here, Jackie. If you had an MVP vote, you'd be voting for LeBron anyway. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. No lies detected. That's the truth. It wouldn't be Julius, wouldn't be Dame, wouldn't be James Harden. It would be LeBron every day. So that's the truth there. But Dennis said one more thing. He says if Curry finishes the season as a leading scorer, he should be in the convo. And that also means if Rudy wins Defensive Player of the Year, then he should be in top 5 MVP. All right. So, it just seems like people are kind of split here, half and half. We like Steph. We recognize what he's able to do for the team. Does that mean he deserves MVP? I don't know. Jackie brought up so many good points about players who also deserve that same recognition. So it's just a tough conversation to have and to kind of really figure out where things are headed. But what we will say is that Steph is killing it. And I personally love to see it. I think we both love to see it. Steph is great. He's fun to watch. He's a nice guy. And it's cool to see him have these moments of success, even though he's on this team that's likely extremely frustrating for him. But on that note, let's wrap up Need to Know News. Let's go into the post-up. Jackie, what do you have for us?
All right. I'm excited to get into this post-up because, like I said, Steph is a very, very likable guy. One of the people who has always talked trash about him, though, is Kendrick Perkins, which I love, too, because Kendrick Perkins is just funny to me. I love his takes all the time. But now that Steph has had this amazing April, Kendrick Perkins has decided it is time for him to apologize. This apology, though, I could have lived without, specifically because of the end of the apology. So let me throw up this tweet from Kendrick Perkins. He says, "Hey, Steph Curry, anything I've ever said negative about you, I apologize, sir. What you are doing on the court and in the game of basketball is beyond legendary. I totally agree with that. Another 49, Peace Spicy with the W. I was just jealous because you are light-skinned and I'm not. Carry the hell on. Sir, you had me until the light-skinned. You had me until there. I was all for it. But no, what we not going to do is do this whole colorism thing. So I'm going to go ahead and say this one. Because now since you're talking about he's light-skinned and you not, let's go to the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, James Harden. Because again, Harden did this in 2018 and 19. Carry on, sir. So if you need somebody that you can relate to on a complexion level, let me present to you James Harden. Because my guy, don't ever put that light skin thing in there. You just look ridiculous right now. You could have just left that out, Devin. I don't even know. I'll be rooting for Kendrick is my guy. You know what I mean? He says the most ridiculous things, and I think it's funny. This colorism thing, though, this bothers me.
It bothers me too. It's very bizarre. I don't even know why he felt the need to throw that in there, especially in this day and age right now. It's like, oh, you're jealous of Steph for being a light skin? That is so weird. Like, I can't even imagine that he would type that out and think, yeah, this is a good idea, I'm gonna post it. You know, it's like, ew, stop, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's good. Now I do light skin is a joke. I've been around guys that are light skinned and I'm like, you acting real light skinned right now, which usually means you act like you think you real cute right now, because that's usually what it means. I don't mean it in this whole, oh, I wish I was light skinned thing. No, I hate that. Look, black is beautiful regardless. So Kendrick, please do better. Go ahead and delete this tweet. I'll be here for you if you delete it, because this is just asinine. But shout out to James Harden for the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, similar stats. So let's go on to this next one, because I definitely want to spend some time on this one, because I think this is a big deal, because like I have said time and time again, there's few women that I admire as much as I admire Vanessa Bryant and all that she's gone through and how she continues to represent for Kobe's legacy on all fronts. And so this one is one of those ones that I know a lot of people are going to have a conversation about, but I admire the reason why she did this. So Kobe, let me show you this first tweet, because the deal is officially over. So Kobe's Nike deal is over, sources tell Complex. The brand couldn't work out a contract with the estate after Bryant's latest Nike deal expired this month. So we've heard rumblings about this, that perhaps, Vanessa would not want to renew this deal. And I like her reasons. So let me show you this next tweet. I might have put these in the wrong order, but basically she's deciding that she doesn't want to renew this deal because of how hard it is for the rest of us to get it. So this gentleman, he had a comment about it. He says they were going back and forth on, what does this mean? Does this mean we'll never get Kobe's again? And this gentleman says, he asked the question, in your expert advice, what do you think Nike will do here? Can't they just retro his old sneakers over and over again? And then this person says, I mean, legally, I don't know if they could, but on a consumer level, they could. Look at the Jordan brand. Those are mainly retro models. So that's a great question. And I'm not a sneakerhead. So if you guys in the chat are, let me know how this works with these sneaker brands and what this might mean, because people had a lot of questions about this. I think I have another tweet coming up, and this person had an insight. I feel like he is a sneakerhead. He said they more than likely own the silhouette. Nike never gives up the design and the logo, so they can release them. They just can't call them Kobe's anymore. Granted, they probably shouldn't release them. So that would be really weird. I'm not a sneakerhead, so I wouldn't be able to even spot that, oh yeah, that's the Kobe. They just changed the name. I wouldn't even be able to spot that because I'm not a sneakerhead, but I do know sneakerheads. And y'all can tell. So this person says they severely limited the stock, so everyone kept missing out. She wanted the shoes to be available to everyone, which is I find that very admirable. And so that's what she said. So these next couple tweets go into what she said to ESPN. So this first one said, Kobe and Nike have made some of the most beautiful basketball shoes of all time, worn and adored by fans and athletes in all sports across the globe. It seems fitting that more NBA players wear my husband's product than any other signature shoe. And then we have another tweet from her, because she just really breaks down why she decided to do this. She says, my hope will always be to allow Kobe fans to get and wear his products. I will continue to fight for that. Kobe's products sell out in seconds. That says everything. It does sell out in seconds, and 9 times out of 10, I feel like it's bots, because then you'll find them later and the price is, jacked up extremely high. So that puts it out of reach for most of us. So let me go to this last one. She says, I was hoping to forge a lifelong partnership with Nike that reflects my husband's legacy. We will always do everything we can to honor Kobe and Gigi's legacies. That will never change. And I love that, because I think she understands that the way that we as the general public felt about Kobe is, it's like a family member. Like, we lost a family member. So of course, the second the new Kobe's come out, all of us want them. I even tried to get the last ones, but I couldn't, because they, like she said, they sold out in seconds. And then it just becomes out of my price range, because I'm just not personally going to pay that much for sneakers. So I admire her so much for the understanding of, hey, we can't just keep gorging these prices like this. We have to make this available to everyone who loved Kobe. And if Nike doesn't want to do that, then we cannot continue this relationship. And it wasn't like an angry thing. It was just a very respectful thing, that this is what we need for his legacy to continue in the way that I think he would want it to continue. So this relationship can't go on. I love her for the way she did this. Devin, what do you think about this?
I think that Vanessa is doing such a great job of honoring and preserving Kobe's legacy and making it accessible to fans. And I really admire her for navigating all of these business decisions with just the clarity and the grace that she is. Because let's not forget, Vanessa is a grieving wife and now a single mother of 3 kids, I think it is. Yeah. So she has a lot on her plate right now, and yet here she is time and time again speaking on Kobe's behalf and making all of these decisions and pursuing these different plans just to make sure that Kobe still stays alive in the best way possible in everybody's memory. So I really admire her for doing this. I think she's really doing a great job. I wish that she could hear us say that right now. Maybe she would watch the Fumble. I don't think so. I feel like she has other things going on. But I wish that she could know how much I admire her as somebody who's just really overcoming these obstacles and challenges with as much grace as she is. And I love that her focus is on making sure that fans are able to get their Kobe gear and, sport Kobe's name and designs and whatever it is without it being super expensive or super unattainable. So I support this.
I do too. So I just want to shout out Vanessa Bryant, because you're doing an amazing job. And thanks for thinking of us, because technically you obviously didn't have to. So definitely want to shout her out and, again, admire her so much. And then let's move on to another tragedy, because this one came out of nowhere. I don't know what happened. We still don't know what happened. But if you haven't heard, I know Devin did a story on it yesterday. Scottie Pippen has passed away. He was just 33 years old. So Scottie took to social media to tell us about it. He says, I'm heartbroken to share that yesterday I said goodbye to my firstborn son, Antron. The two of us shared a love for basketball, and we had countless conversations about it. And those pictures are adorable. Such a cute baby. So let's go on to this next one. He says he suffered from chronic asthma, and if it hadn't been for that, he truly believes he would have made it into the NBA. He never let that get him down, though. He stayed positive and worked hard, and I am so proud of the man that he became. Again, I love these father-son pictures that he has. And then he has one more tweet, and he says, please keep his mom Karen and all of his family and friends in your thoughts and prayers. A kind heart and a beautiful soul gone way too soon. I love you, son. Rest easy until we meet again. Now, we don't know what he passed away from. At least I don't know, because from what I could see, that hasn't been released. So this is just tragic. So obviously our thoughts and prayers are going to go with him, because it's the worst thing in the world to bury a child. Every parent that I know that has had to do that says it's the worst thing in the world. So really, again, thoughts and prayers with Scottie Pippen and his family. Want to move on to this next one to kind of try to lighten the mood a little bit, because I feel like we've been down for the last 2 posts. So let's lift it up, because you guys know Thursday, April 29th is the NFL draft, which is an exciting time. We're going to obviously be covering that, so stay tuned to hear about all that coverage. But teams are getting ready for it. They're getting their war rooms together. This includes the LA Rams, which Rocket Mortgage, once again, I don't know if you guys remember, but Michigan Spartans are now the Michigan Spartans, presented by Rocket Mortgage. And so Rocket Mortgage has created this war room for the Rams. Let me show you Sean McVay, him telling us a little bit about this war room. Take a look.
Scene one, take two, common mark.
Okay, my bad. Okay. Mental error. I'm most excited about the 2021 draft. Be honest with you, the new draft room that we have.
Look at those ball skills. This guy's a magician.
I mean, heck, the view. It's unbelievable. Hopefully, I'm just as excited about the 22 draft. Because wait till we see this spread and see this view, and you can't help but draft well in an environment like this.
I totally disagree with that. That does not look like a war room to me. That looks like the war has already been won. So I don't know if you're going to go out there and be drafting really well. I think you're going to get too comfortable. You're going to be chilling in the pool. Look at these pictures. All of a sudden, you're going to look up. You're going to be out there grilling. Let me just go through them, Leo. When you see this pool, look at this pool. And now there's a sunset view of it as well. This is really nice. Again, this looks like you won the war. This does not look like a war room to me. Y'all gonna be looking up and be like, oh damn, it's our turn to pick a draft pick. No, this is too much. This is too cozy. It's too comfortable. Y'all need to be gritty until after the draft. I like it. Rocket Mortgage, they're doing their thing though. They making sure everybody know who they are in some way, shape, or form. So great marketing, but I don't know, Devin. What do you think about this war room?
I think this is the place where you go, you relax, you lay by the pool, you turn your mind off. I mean, yeah, I think I wouldn't have thought that if I initially saw it, Jackie. I probably would have been like, oh, that's a cool spot. Like, it's going to be fun. But now that you mention it, like, yeah, whenever I'm even anywhere near Malibu, you guys know, maybe some of you know, I just did a little like staycation in Malibu, which was so much fun. And I was just relaxed. I wasn't thinking about anything. So it's definitely hard to have that, like, you know, excited mindset when you're in a place like that.
Yeah, I could see him like sitting around the pool with a mimosa, and then all of a sudden, then that ding, 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 that bell that says you're next on the clock. He's like, oh, like I think he's gonna be a little too chill. But we'll see how they do. If they don't do well in the draft, I'm definitely gonna blame it on this house. I'm just letting you know now. Let's move on to this next one, because I'm telling you, what you're going to see right now is the next Hall of Fame pitcher. He's in his infant state. So I want you to go and find him on social media so you can say, I remember when Jackie Ray said he was going to be a Hall of Fame pitcher. And I've got the proof, and his little brother knows it as well. Take a look. It's the follow through for me. Wait, one more time, Leo. Watch the follow through. Bam. I love this kid. He got my vote for whatever he wants to do. I'm hoping he goes into pitching because his aim is flawless. But when I tell you the Karen's son was all over Twitter on this, I thought this would be funny, something fun to see. He says, what parent sits and records this? I feel bad for the younger kid when they get older. What in the you have been beat up as a kid hell is this tweet about? Somebody checked him really quick though, and I love this. I had to X out a little piece of it, but he said, due to soft, he would have never survived in a house full of brothers, and I totally agree with that. Shouts out to that kid, because again, that's what this one says. He says, sounds as if this guy grew up sheltered and he's kind of soft. You never would have made it in my house with 3 brothers, and I'm the baby of 6, so you would have had a hard time thinking that you shouldn't get picked on. That's how you become strong in the world, is when your brother picks on you and you learn to deflect it or get him before he gets you. It's just life lessons. But again, shout out to that pitcher. I love that. But that's all I got for the post up. Now let's get to what we not gonna do, you guys, because this one is very interesting to me, because there are some things in my life that I promise you I will never understand. Why not only do they happen, but more so, why do we tolerate them? I can make allowances for some things. I do understand mental illness is a real thing, and I know with the NFL we talk a lot about CTE and how we just don't understand how that impacts the brain, especially since we can't even diagnose it until death. So I'm not saying that there's not extenuating circumstances that make people act in a way that maybe they wouldn't if they didn't have head trauma or this mental illness. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm downplaying those things, but this is not that. So this is one of those situations where I'm not even sure. I don't know how Darius Morris grew up. I don't, because I did try to research him. I do know he was raised by both parents. I know he went to Michigan. I know he was drafted in the second round in 2011. And I know he played for the Lakers. He was drafted by the Lakers. And I know he played for the Nets, the 76ers, and the Clippers, and the Grizzlies, and a few D leagues before he went over and then played in France in their pro league. But aside from that, not real. I have no insight into his childhood or how he grew up. But even if I did, I know a lot of times people do become products of their environment. But the second you can get out of that and play in the NBA, I think now you need to it's your responsibility to address any past childhood dramas. And again, I don't know if he had any because I couldn't find anything to indicate that he did. But I'm saying if that's the excuse that he is going to use for severely and savagely beating his girlfriend in 2015, I could not give him a pass. So this is her face after said beating. Let that sink in. I understand that's graphic, so I apologize if you guys are triggered by this, if you've gone through something like this, or you know someone who's gone through something like this and you're triggered by these kinds of things. You might want to take a break for the next 3 or 4 minutes and come back because I don't want to, I understand how those kind of traumas can live in people, so I don't want to be insensitive to that. But that was her face in 2015, and in 2015 she filed a lawsuit. We're in 2021 now, so I have to believe that it's hard for me to believe that this is still going on in some way legally. But let me show you the video, because if a picture speaks 1,000 words, then you know what the video does. So let me show you this video of this beating that happened in 2015. Again, if you're triggered by this, now would be a good time to bail out, because this video is very, very damning. So take a look.
Fucking shit. And you kept going through that shit. You're not gonna go, and you're not gonna bite me this time. Give me your fucking phone. Huh? Okay. Give me your fucking phone and let me go through your fucking text messages and your fucking photos. Like you really.
So her screams alone are just crazy to me. For her to be screaming like that and him still yelling, "Give me your phone, give me your phone," because again, he thought she was cheating on him. So her screams alone, and you can hear the hits, that's a lot. That's a very, very damning video. So when I'm reading through this, I was very curious as to why is this coming out in 2021? I'm not downplaying it. This is horrible. But the video is just now coming out in 2021, and this happened in 2015. I think I have an idea as to how this took place. So if you go to Kristen, that's his girlfriend. You can go ahead and post that up there, Leo. If you go to her Instagram and you go to her story, this is what you see. She says that his mom said to me, "Why didn't you just give him your phone? Seems like you were hiding something." So that's crazy that instead of his mom really condemning the acts of her son, she is basically saying if you would have given him your phone, you wouldn't have got beat up like that. That leads to maybe there's something in his childhood. Maybe his mom is used to something that we just don't know. Maybe he saw his father do something like this. That tweet about what his mom said is the only thing that makes me think that. But then this one, she says, "I'm sorry, I'm not looking at my DMs or comments. To be honest, I feel sick and anxious. I have never talked about my personal life on social media before. I just don't want to be a victim anymore. I just wanted to not feel like this. And he made every step harder for me." So then she goes, "What's worse than the years of physical and mental abuse is that he's not even sorry. He doesn't even see it as wrong. He literally says, I cheated on him. He's the victim and he's mad with me, which I never did. To not appreciate or validate at all the experience I've had. I've held it in for so long while he laughed and made up a new story every week. The fact that he was able to kick me in the face because I found out he was betraying me." And then this next one leads me to think, so she posted and she's kind of typing at her computer and she's talking about how I guess she's going to go to the dentist because apparently he's hit her again. So this is the tweet, I think I have it in there, that bothers me the most about this situation. And then if I don't, it's fine. But she's basically saying she's got to go to the dentist now because once again, he has hit her and, chipped her tooth. So I don't know if you can see because it's at the bottom there. But this is on April 6th. On April 6th, She posted this to her Instagram story and says, time to work and act like everything is fine, like every day. I missed the dentist appointment for the veneer I broke. Got to pay to fix one of these teeth that he broke again. This is where I tap out of this situation a little bit, because how you get this beating in 2015 and you repairing chipped tooth in 2021? How does that happen? And I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I know a lot of people get upset with me, but you are responsible. You're personally responsible for your level of safety. If that man beat you like that in 2015, why are you posting this in 2021? Because that means you've just been there this whole time, despite this lawsuit that you filed. So he posts this to his Instagram. Now, if you go to his Instagram right now, his Instagram page is private, because I tried to go to see, what else he might have said. But I know I have a picture of that, but I want to skip to that and show you the picture that he posted, which is basically an apology after she posted that whole rant on her Instagram. And he says, I'm sorry for not treating her right. This my girl. Let me help, because I know a lot of people are like, well, how is he posting this? Why is he making light of it? He's making light of it because she stayed. Because she's never shown him that he can't do this to her. Every time a man hits you and you go back, you've just shown him that I'm sorry, baby, I love you, and maybe some flowers and a week of not hitting you is all he needs to do to carry on this behavior. That's why he posted this picture. That's why it's not a big deal to him, because there's been no consequences. I don't know what happened. I don't know what the result of the case was in 2015. I doubt it's still going on. But even if it is, she's still there. She's still getting her teeth fixed today. What is this man supposed to think outside of I can hit her because she let me? You got to be responsible for yourself at some point. I don't care how much money this man has. He plays in the French Pro League, the D League at some point. I mean, where does what he can provide for you not be worth your personal safety? It's not worth you being afraid that you might say something wrong and he hit you in the face. Where does the fact that you got to figure out how to pay for yet another chipped tooth become more important than whatever it is you think is going on between the two of you? Because you are allowing this to happen now. You are allowing this to happen. And I know people hate when I say that, because they say, no, you don't understand. I don't understand how you continually allow a man to hit you when you can leave. There are resources. There are battered women's shelters. There are countless ways that you can get out if you need to. You got family, you got friends. Get out. And then you don't have to repair a chipped tooth. What we're not going to do is keep staying and giving people reasons. And it's not even like you have to give him a reason, because now he thinks it's okay because you've made him think it's okay. We are going to take care of ourselves. We are going to make sure we are safe. And when we have an opportunity to press charges against somebody, we are going to do that to the fullest extent of the law, so he can't do that to someone else. And then we're going to move on with our life and try to do better, so we do not make this same mistake and choose this kind of man in the future. But we're going to do better and not ask social media for sympathy for something you decide to stay in. That's all I got on what we're not going to do. Devin, do you have a thought on this?
Well, first of all, that video that you showed was absolutely horrifying. Like, that made me sick to my stomach hearing that. I don't know, because I don't want to pretend like I know what it's like to be in that situation. I don't. I've never been in that kind of situation. So, you know me, I always want to extend like the softest part of my understanding to the women who might have been victimized. I couldn't possibly imagine going back to a man like that, even putting myself in the same room as a man like that. So that's, it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around that. But I also don't know what it's like to be in that kind of mental and emotional trauma, and that kind of abuse. I don't know how easy it is to kind of slip back into the clutches of somebody who mistreats you. So I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about it, except for that I think it's horrendous what he did to her. And that's something that I personally would immediately remove myself. I would move cities. I would change my number. I would, get a new social media account if I needed social media at all. And I would just move on. So I don't know. I can't understand going back to somebody like that. But I think that the trauma that you experience going through that is a lot deeper than any of us could really realize. So I don't know. I'm assuming
she doesn't have brothers too, or cousins, because if something like that happened to me, there'd be two cases. There'd be the cases that I filed against him and the case my brother probably had for beating the hell out of him. There's just no way that my brother would be on my brother, even though he's in Denver right now, he'd be on the first thing moving if I was talking to him on the phone, FaceTiming him, and my face is bloodied like this. I just don't understand. I get it. I get that some women, a lot, because I've worked with people in these situations, and a lot of time it is the money, the financial security. Girl, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Get out.
Get out. I know, that's really the best advice. And I have to agree. My mom would probably be driving up here with a knife and a gun ready to kill somebody if this happened to me. So, and that's my mom, you know, like I don't have brothers. I don't have any male cousins that would probably, you know, step up to the plate for me like that. But yeah, like the people in my life would be ready to literally murder somebody if they did that to me. So, as they should. I would murder somebody if they did that to my sister, my best friend, or whatever. Like I would be ready to, I mean, I don't really have a lot of faith in my abilities to kill anyone because I'm extremely weak, but it would be something I would attempt to do for better or for worse. Anyway, that is, I'm like red now. I'm embarrassed. Let's wrap up the show, you guys. We're going to be back again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So don't forget to tune in, subscribe, leave a comment below, tap the bell for notifications, share this video with your friends. Have a great Tuesday and a great 420, you guys, and we'll see you later.